never thought picking up a stranger in my taxi at midnight would destroy everything I thought I knew about safety. But when Luca Marino slid into my back seat, the man I'd loved in college, the man who vanished without explanation, I realized some ghosts come back armed and dangerous. What I didn't know was that my dead sister's ex had already sold our lives to pay his debts, and now men with guns were hunting my 7-year-old niece for reasons that would make your blood run cold. The Mafia boss who broke my heart 10 years ago might be the only thing standing between us and a fate worse than death. But protection in his world comes with a price that could cost me everything I've fought to protect. Subscribe and tell me in the comments, would you trust the person who destroyed you once to save you now? Even if it meant becoming someone you never wanted to be? The rain drummed against my windshield. Each drop caught the streetlights and scattered them into tiny stars. I pressed the brake as another red light stopped me 2 blocks from the Manhattan Bridge. Nia shifted in the back seat, her small body curled against the worn fabric of my taxi's upholstery. 7 years old, and she still slept through anything. Traffic, sirens, my late-night driving shifts that kept us fed. "Almost home, baby," I whispered. My phone buzzed against the console. Another text from the landlord. "Past due. Final notice." The usual threats wrapped in polite language. I counted the bills in my jacket pocket. $63. Not enough for rent, not enough for groceries, but enough for gas to keep driving tonight. The dark sedan behind me had been there for 6 blocks. Same distance, same speed. My chest tightened as I watched it in my rearview mirror. "Probably nothing," I said to myself. But my sister used to say the same thing about her ex, about the men who came looking for money she didn't owe, about the debts that followed her to the hospital and killed her before the cancer could finish the job. The light turned green. I pressed the gas and turned toward Brooklyn. The sedan followed. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. Nia murmured something in her sleep, a word I couldn't catch. She hadn't spoken clearly since the funeral 3 months ago. The social workers said trauma affected children differently. That patience would bring her voice back. I wasn't patient by nature. But for Nia, I'd learned. The sedan moved closer. Close enough that I could see 2 figures in the front seats. Close enough that my heart started racing. I turned onto Atlantic Avenue. More traffic here. More witnesses if something went wrong. The sedan stayed behind me. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't the landlord. The text showed a photo of my taxi. My license plate, taken from across the street while I'd been parked outside Nia's school this afternoon. No words, just the image. I felt cold. Not the kind that came from October weather. The kind that came from knowing someone was watching. Someone was waiting. I pulled to the curb near a late-night diner. Bright lights and people inside. Safety in numbers. A tall man stepped out of the shadows near the building. He raised his hand for a ride. I almost said no. Almost drove past him. But $63 wasn't enough. And bills didn't pay themselves. He opened the passenger door. The dome light flickered on. My breath caught. "Luca?" His name came out before I could stop it. 10 years disappeared in the space between heartbeats. College, late nights in the library, promises we'd both broken when graduation split us in different directions. He froze halfway into the seat. His eyes found mine in the rearview mirror. "Amara?" His voice was deeper now, rougher, but it still said my name the same way. "Where to?" I asked. Professional, distant, as if seeing him didn't make my chest tight. "Midtown. I'll give you the address when we get moving." He settled into the seat and closed the door. The sedan behind us revved its engine. "We need to go. Now." Something in his tone made me press the gas without arguing. The taxi pulled into traffic. The sedan followed. Friends of yours? I asked. No. His eyes stayed on the side mirror, alert, calculating. Nothing like the boy I'd known in college who'd talked about literature and made me laugh during study breaks. Take the service ramp under the bridge, he said. That's not the way to... Trust me. I glanced back at Nia, still sleeping, still safe, still the only thing that mattered. But the sedan was getting closer, and Luca's presence in my taxi felt both dangerous and familiar. I took the ramp. The service road wound through concrete pillars and loading docks. No traffic, no witnesses, just shadows and the echo of our engine. The sedan accelerated behind us. They're going to hit us, Luca said. His voice was calm, too calm for someone watching a car gain speed in pursuit. Who are they? People who want to hurt me. People who don't care who gets in the way. The sedan clipped our rear bumper. The taxi lurched forward. Nia woke with a small cry. It's okay, baby, I called back to her. We're just driving. But my hands shook on the wheel. This wasn't okay. None of this was okay. Luca reached across the seat. His hand covered mine on the gearshift. Trust me, he said again. 10 years ago, I had. 10 years ago, he'd left for law school and never called. Never wrote. Never explained why promises meant nothing when real life got complicated. But Nia whimpered in the back seat, and the sedan was closing in again. I pressed harder on the gas. Another car appeared at the far end of the loading area. Headlights swept across the concrete, blocking our exit. We're trapped, I said. No, we're not. Luca pulled out his phone, typed something fast. Within seconds, 2 black SUVs materialized from side streets I hadn't noticed. The sedan behind us slammed on its brakes. Tried to reverse. But the SUVs boxed it in with brutal efficiency. Men stepped out of the vehicles. I didn't see weapons, but I didn't need to. The sedan's occupants raised their hands. Go, Luca said. Take the exit on the left. I drove past the scene. In my rearview mirror, I watched the men from the sedan get pushed into one of the SUVs. Professional. Quick. Final. What just happened? You're safe now. But I wasn't safe. I was in a taxi with a man who could summon armed escorts with a text message. A man who'd disappeared from my life without explanation and reappeared in the middle of a car chase. Nia sat up in the back seat. Her dark eyes were wide, alert. She'd seen enough violence in her short life. I wouldn't let her see more. There's a hotel 3 blocks ahead, Luca said. Pull in there. I can't afford... I can. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a roll of cash. More money than I made in a month of driving. He peeled off several bills and dropped them on the console. One night, just until I can make sure you're really safe. I stared at the money. Enough for rent, enough for groceries, enough to stop driving at midnight with Nia in the back seat. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, it's protection. Same thing. No, he said. His voice was quiet now, almost gentle. It's not. I pulled into the hotel parking lot, a small place with clean windows and reasonable rates. The kind of place that didn't ask too many questions. Luca got out first. He opened my door, and then Nia's. She let him help her out of the car without flinching. She never let strangers touch her. But something about Luca felt familiar to her too. Can you walk, sweetheart? He asked her. Nia nodded. She slipped her hand into mine. Her other hand reached for Luca's sleeve. Just a touch. Just enough connection to feel secure. Inside the lobby, the night clerk looked tired, bored. He handed over a key card without checking our IDs too carefully. Cash spoke louder than questions. Room 237, Luca said as we walked to the elevator. I'll be in the hall. Just tonight. You don't need to. Yes, I do. The elevator doors closed. In the mirrored walls, I saw all three of us, Nia between us, a family that wasn't a family, a protection that came with strings I couldn't see yet. The hallway was quiet, empty. The carpet muffled our footsteps as we walked to the room. Why are you helping us? I asked. Lucas stopped at the door. His hand rested on the key card. For a moment, he looked like the boy I'd known in college. Uncertain, vulnerable. Because I lost a family once, he said. I won't lose another. The words hit me harder than the car chase. Harder than seeing him after 10 years. He'd lost a family. And somehow, in his mind, Nia and I were connected to that loss. We're not your responsibility. Maybe not. But you're in danger because you know me. That makes it my fault. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him I could take care of myself and Nia without his help. But the sedan had been following me before he got in my taxi. The photo on my phone proved that. Someone had been watching. Someone was waiting, and I didn't know why. Inside the hotel room, Nia curled up on one of the beds. She pulled the covers over her head, her way of making the world smaller, safer. She's been through a lot, I said. I can see that. Lucas stood near the window, not looking out, not pacing, just standing, alert, protective. Her mother was my sister. Breast cancer. The treatments didn't work. I'm sorry. The medical bills were enormous. Lisa's ex-husband Darren was supposed to help with the debts. Instead, he sold our information to collection agencies, to loan sharks, to anyone who'd pay. Luca's jaw tightened. Something shifted in his expression. Cold. Dangerous. Where is he now? I don't know. I don't want to know. I just want to keep Nia safe. You will. The certainty in his voice should have comforted me. Instead, it scared me. Because certainty like that came with a price. Tell me what you do now, I said. Tell me why those men were chasing you. I solve problems for people who can't solve them themselves. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you tonight. I felt frustrated, tired, grateful, angry, all at the same time. We'll be gone in the morning, I said. Where will you go? Somewhere safe. Where? I didn't have an answer. The hotel room was the first safe place Nia and I had slept in months. Before tonight, safe had meant driving until we were too tired to keep going. Parking in well-lit areas. Sleeping in shifts. You can't run forever, Amara. I can try. And if they catch up? They won't. But even as I said it, I remembered the photo on my phone. The sedan that had followed us. The men who'd known exactly where to find us. We were already caught. We just didn't know by whom yet. Luca moved toward the door. I'll be in the hallway. If you need anything, we won't. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. I know you don't trust me. I know I don't deserve your trust. But those men tonight weren't after you. They were after me. And now they've seen you. What does that mean? It means running might not be enough anymore. The door closed behind him. I turned the deadbolt and put the chain on. But locks didn't stop determined people. My sister had learned that the hard way. Nia whispered something from the bed. I moved closer to hear her. The man, she said. Her voice was soft, rusty from disuse. He's not scary. What do you mean, baby? His eyes, they're sad, like yours. I looked toward the door. Luca was somewhere on the other side, standing guard, protecting us from dangers I didn't understand. But Nia was right. His eyes were sad, and something about that sadness felt familiar, connected to the grief I carried for my sister, for the life Nia should have had. I lay down next to her, pulled the covers over both of us. Outside, New York City hummed with late-night energy. Inside, for the first time in months, I felt almost safe. But safety was temporary. It always was. And in the morning, I'd have to decide whether to trust the man in the hallway or keep running from shadows I couldn't see. My phone buzzed one more time before I fell asleep. Another photo, this time of the hotel. Our room number clearly visible on the door. Someone was still watching. Someone who knew exactly where we were, and they wanted us to know they were coming. Morning light leaked through the hotel curtains. I sat up fast, heart racing from a dream I couldn't remember. Nia was still asleep beside me, her breathing steady and calm. The money Luca had left sat on the nightstand. Real, not a dream. I checked my phone. No new messages, no photos of our location. But that didn't mean we were safe. A soft knock came at the door. "It's me," Luca's voice called. I looked through the peephole. He stood alone in the hallway, dark circles under his eyes. He'd stayed awake all night. I opened the door, but kept the chain on. "Coffee," he said, holding up 2 cups, "and breakfast for Nia." The smell of pancakes drifted through the gap. Nia stirred on the bed. "We're leaving," I said. "Where? That's not your concern. Everything about your safety is my concern now." I felt angry, not at him exactly, at the situation, at the fact that my choices had disappeared overnight. "I don't want to be anyone's concern." Too late for that. Something in his voice made me look at him more carefully. The boy I'd known in college had been gentle, studious. This man was harder, sharper, capable of violence I didn't want to understand. "What happened to you, Luca?" "Life." That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. Nia appeared at my shoulder. She pressed her face against my hip and stared at Luca through the crack in the door. "Pancakes?" she whispered. Her voice was so quiet I almost missed it, but Luca heard. He smiled, and for a second I saw the boy he'd been. "With syrup," he said, "and strawberries." Nia looked up at me. Her dark eyes pleaded. She'd eaten cereal and granola bars for weeks, hotel food and whatever I could afford from convenience stores. I removed the chain and opened the door. Luca stepped inside and set the food on the small table. Nia climbed into one of the chairs and picked up a plastic fork. "Thank you," she said to Luca. 2 words, clear and distinct. More than she'd said to anyone except me since the funeral. "You're welcome, sweetheart." I poured coffee from one of the cups he'd brought. It was good. Better than the instant packets I'd been buying. "We can't stay here," I said. "I know." "And we can't keep accepting your help." "Why not?" "Because help comes with strings, and I won't be controlled again." Luca sat across from me. His eyes found mine and held them. "I'm not trying to control you, Amara. I'm trying to keep you alive." "Same thing." "No, it's not." But I'd heard those words before, from my sister's ex, from social workers who thought they knew what was best for Nia, from everyone who wanted to make decisions for us. "Tell me why those men were following you," I said. "Because I do work that makes enemies." "What kind of work?" "The kind that pays enough to keep people safe." "Legal work?" He was quiet for a long moment. Nia ate her pancakes and pretended not to listen. But children heard everything, especially children who'd learned that adults weren't always honest about danger. "Sometimes," Luca said finally. "And the other times?" "The other times, I do what's necessary." I felt cold again, the same chill I'd felt when the sedan followed us, when the SUVs appeared out of nowhere, when men disappeared into vehicles without a trace. "Are you in the Mafia, Luca?" The question hung in the air between us. Nia stopped eating, her fork halfway to her mouth. Yes. One word. Simple, honest, terrifying. I stood up fast. The chair scraped against the floor. Nia, pack your things. We're leaving. Amara? No. I pointed at him. Don't say my name. Don't follow us. Don't contact us again. They'll find you anyway. Who? The people who saw you with me last night. The people who know you matter to me now. I don't matter to you. I'm just someone you used to know. You're wrong. His voice was quiet, but something in it made me stop packing Nia's clothes. 10 years ago, I left because the life I was heading toward would have destroyed you. I left because I loved you too much to let that happen. I felt my chest tighten. You left because you got into law school. I left because my family business isn't law, and the deeper I got pulled in, the more dangerous it became for anyone close to me. The room felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressed in around us. You left without explaining, without giving me a choice. I was 23 years old. I thought keeping you away was the same as keeping you safe. And now? Now I know the difference. Nia had stopped pretending not to listen. She watched us both with eyes that had seen too much adult pain already. What's the difference? I asked. Keeping you away means you face danger alone. Keeping you safe means facing it together. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed. Harder. More alert. What is it? We need to leave, now. Why? Because they found this hotel. He moved toward the window and looked down at the parking lot. I joined him and saw what he saw. 2 cars parked near the entrance, men standing beside them. Not hotel guests, not casual observers, watchers, waiting. Back exit, Luca said. Through the kitchen. My car? Leave it. I can't afford to lose my cab. It's how I make money. Money doesn't matter if you're dead. Nia had climbed down from her chair. She stood near the bed with her small backpack clutched against her chest. Ready to run again. Always ready to run. This is my fault, I said. I shouldn't have stopped. For you last night. This isn't your fault. It's mine, and I'll fix it. How? By making sure they understand that you're protected now. Protected by who? By me. The weight of those words settled around us. Protection in Luca's world didn't mean locks and alarm systems. It meant violence. It meant people disappearing in the night. I don't want that kind of protection. You may not have a choice. Nia tugged on my jacket. Mama Amara, she whispered. The bad men are coming upstairs. We could hear footsteps in the hallway now. Heavy boots, moving with purpose. Luca pressed a key card into my hand. Service elevator. Basement level. Car waiting in the back alley. What about you? I'll be right behind you. But he was moving toward the door, not the service elevator. And something in his posture told me he wasn't planning to run. Luca, go, now. I grabbed Nia's hand and pulled her toward the back of the hotel. The service elevator was hidden behind a maintenance door. We slipped inside just as voices echoed from our room. Angry voices, demanding voices. Then silence. The elevator descended slowly. Each floor felt longer than the last. Nia's hand was warm in mine, trusting. She believed I could keep her safe. I wasn't sure I believed it anymore. The basement was dark, empty. Our footsteps echoed off concrete walls as we moved toward the alley exit. Outside, a black sedan waited with the engine running. Not one of the threatening cars from last night, one of Luca's. A man stepped out of the driver's seat, tall, broad-shouldered. He had the same alert posture as Luca, the same dangerous calm. "Enzo," he said, introducing himself. "I work with Luca." "Where is he?" "Handling the situation upstairs." "What kind of handling?" Enzo's expression didn't change. "The kind that keeps you safe." More violence, more people disappearing, more decisions made without my input. "I want to go back to my apartment," I said. "That's not safe." "Nowhere is safe. Some places are safer than others." Nia climbed into the back seat of the sedan. She seemed comfortable with Enzo, as if his presence meant safety instead of danger. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere they can't follow." The car pulled out of the alley. I looked back at the hotel and saw smoke drifting from a third-floor window. Our window. What did he do? What was necessary? I felt sick, not just because of the smoke, because of how easy it was for Luca's world to swallow mine, how quickly decisions got made that I couldn't unmake. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Running won't help. We know who you are now." Enzo glanced at the phone in my lap. "They're trying to scare you." "It's working." "Fear can be useful. It keeps you alert. Or it makes you stupid." "Not you," he said. "Luca says you're smart, says you survived 3 months on your own with the kid. That takes intelligence. And luck. Luck runs out. Intelligence doesn't." The sedan wound through Brooklyn streets I didn't recognize. Warehouses and industrial buildings. Places where screams wouldn't carry. "Where are we really going?" I asked. "Midtown. Luca's place." "I don't want to go to his place." "You want to go back to driving nights with a 7-year-old in your back seat? You want to keep looking over your shoulder every time you stop for gas?" The questions hit harder than I wanted to admit. Because the answer was no. I didn't want any of those things. But I also didn't want to owe Luca Marino my life. "What does he want from us?" "To keep you safe." "That's not an answer." Enzo was quiet for several blocks. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "He had a wife and a son. They died because someone wanted to hurt him. He's been carrying that guilt for 2 years." My chest tightened. "What happened to them?" "Car bomb. Meant for him. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time." I looked back at Nia. She was drawing in a small notebook. Flowers and houses and stick-figure families. Normal things. Happy things. "So we're what? His chance at redemption?" "Maybe. Or maybe he just can't watch another family get destroyed because of his choices." The sedan pulled into an underground garage, concrete and shadows and the echo of our doors closing. Enzo led us to an elevator that required a key card to operate. "Penthouse," he said. "Safest place in the city." The elevator climbed 40 floors. My ears popped from the altitude change. Nia pressed her nose against the glass and watched the city shrink below us. When the doors opened, I expected luxury, coldness, the kind of space that announced wealth and power. Instead, I found warmth. A woman in her 50s stood near the entrance. Gray hair pulled back in a practical bun, kind eyes, a kitchen apron that suggested she'd been cooking. "Rosa," Enzo said, "this is Amara and Nia." "Welcome," Rosa said. Her voice carried a slight accent, Italian maybe, or Spanish. "You must be hungry." Nia nodded and slipped her hand into Rosa's as if they'd known each other forever. Some people radiated safety. Rosa was one of them. "Where's Luca?" I asked. "Dealing with cleanup," Rosa said. "He'll be here soon." "What kind of cleanup?" "The kind you don't need to worry about." But I did worry, because cleanup in Luca's world probably meant things I didn't want to imagine. Rosa led us through rooms that felt more like home than fortress. Comfortable furniture, books on shelves, photographs of families and friends. Normal life mixed with bulletproof glass and hidden security cameras. "Your room," Rosa said, opening a door at the end of a hallway. Inside was a bedroom with a connecting bathroom. Clean, simple, a window that looked out over Manhattan, and a door that locked from the inside. "I can lock this?" I asked. "Of course. This is your space. No one enters without permission." The small gesture meant more than Rosa could know. Privacy, choice, dignity. Nia bounced on the bed and giggled, the first truly happy sound I'd heard from her in months. "Can we stay?" she asked me. Before I could answer, Rosa knelt down to Nia's eye level. "Would you like to help me make cookies?" "Yes, please." "Then we better get started. Luca will want some when he gets home." Home. Rosa said it so easily, as if this place could become home for us too. But home meant permanence, and permanence meant owing debts I couldn't repay. "I need to make some phone calls," I said. "Of course. Use the phone in the kitchen, or your cell, whatever you prefer." I followed them back to the main living area. The kitchen was enormous, but felt lived in. Flour on the counter. Recipe cards taped to cabinets. The smell of bread baking. Nia climbed onto a stool and watched Rosa gather ingredients. Her eyes were bright, curious, alive in a way I hadn't seen since before her mother got sick. "What kind of cookies?" Nia asked. "Chocolate chip, Luca's favorite." "Mine too." "Then we'll make extra." I stepped onto the terrace to make my calls. The city stretched out below us. Millions of people living their lives, working their jobs, dealing with normal problems. I wasn't one of them anymore. My first call was to my landlord, to explain why I couldn't come home tonight, why the rent would be later than promised. He didn't answer. Neither did my backup driving contact, or the woman who sometimes watched Nia when I worked double shifts. My phone buzzed with a text. "Stop calling. They're listening. Unknown number again." But this time, the message felt different. Less threatening, more warning. Who was listening? Luca's enemies? The police? Someone else entirely? I tried one more number. A friend from my sister's hospital stay. Someone who might have answers about Darren and the debts that followed us. "Amara?" Sarah's voice was hushed, worried. "Where are you?" "Safe. Why?" "Because there are men asking about you, about Nia. They came to the hospital yesterday." My stomach dropped. "What kind of men?" "The kind that don't take no for an answer. They wanted your address, your work schedule, everything." "Did you tell them anything?" "Of course not. But Amara, they knew things. About Lisa's medical bills, about Darren, about debts that should have been cleared months ago." "What kind of things?" "They knew about the life insurance policy, the one Lisa took out before she got sick." I felt cold again. Lisa's life insurance had paid for her funeral. The rest had gone to Nia's college fund, a small amount that wouldn't matter to anyone except us. "How much do you think they know?" I asked. "Everything, and they want it back." "Want what back?" "The insurance money. They claim Lisa owed more than the policy covered, that the debt transferred to you as Nia's guardian." "That's not how debt works." "It is if you're dealing with people who don't follow normal rules." Through the terrace doors, I could see Nia helping Rosa roll cookie dough, laughing, safe, for now. "Sarah, if anyone else asks about us, I'll tell them I don't know anything. But Amara, be careful. These people don't just want money. They want to make an example." The call ended. I stared out at the city and tried to process what I'd learned. Someone wanted Lisa's life insurance money. Money that had already been spent. Money I didn't have. But they weren't just asking nicely. They were threatening, following, making it clear that running wouldn't solve the problem. Bad news? I turned to find Luca standing behind me. He'd cleaned up since the hotel, changed clothes, but his eyes still held the alertness of someone who'd just dealt with violence. You could say that. Tell me. So I did. About the hospital visit, about the insurance money, about debts that followed us even after death. Luca's expression grew darker with each detail. How much money are we talking about? 50,000. It's already gone. Funeral costs, apartment deposits, Nia's expenses. That's not much money. It is to us. It's not much money to kill over, unless it's not really about the money. What do you mean? I mean someone's using the debt as an excuse. They want something else. What? You and Nia, for reasons we don't understand yet. The terrace felt smaller suddenly, 40 floors above the city, but still not high enough to escape the reach of people who wanted to hurt us. This is because of you, I said. Because I picked you up last night. No, this started before last night. I just gave them a new angle to work. What kind of angle? Now they know you matter to me. That makes you valuable in a different way. I felt trapped, between debts I couldn't pay and protection I couldn't refuse. I want to go home. You are home. This isn't my home. It can be. But home meant safety, and safety in Luca's world came with a price I wasn't sure I could afford to pay. Inside, Nia called my name. Happy, excited. She wanted to show me the cookies she'd helped make. For her sake, I smiled, praised her work, pretended everything was normal. But nothing was normal anymore, and I was beginning to understand that it might never be again. The cookies were perfect, golden brown and still warm from the oven. Nia bit into one and smiled with chocolate on her teeth. These are the best cookies ever, she said. Rosa beamed. That's because you helped make them. Can we make more tomorrow? If you're still here tomorrow. Nia looked at me. Her eyes held a question I didn't know how to answer. We'll see, baby. But even as I said it, I knew we weren't leaving anytime soon. The men at the hospital, the insurance money they claimed we owed, the fact that running had only made things worse. Luca sat across from us at the kitchen table. He ate Rosa's cookies and watched Nia with careful attention. Not the way a stranger watched a child, the way someone who understood children watched them. Do you have kids? Nia asked him. The question hung in the air. Rosa's hand stilled on the counter. Luca's jaw tightened. I did, he said finally. A little boy. He would have been about your age now. Where is he? He's in heaven, with his mama. Nia nodded as if this made perfect sense. Death was familiar to her, permanent, but not scary anymore. My mama's in heaven too, she said. She watches over me. I'm sure she does. And now you watch over me too, like a daddy. The words hit Luca like a physical blow. I saw him flinch, saw pain flash across his features before he could hide it. I'm not your daddy, sweetheart. I'm just a friend who wants to keep you safe. But you could be, if you wanted to. Children saw things simply. Love was love. Protection was protection. Family was whoever showed up when it mattered. Adults made everything complicated. Nia, I said gently. Luca has his own life. We're just visiting. But I like it here. Rosa makes good cookies, and the bed is soft, and there's no scary men outside. She was right about all of those things, but liking something and keeping it were different things entirely. Why don't you help Rosa clean up? I suggested. I need to talk to Luca. Nia slipped off her chair and moved to the sink. She stood on a step stool and carefully washed measuring cups under Rosa's supervision. Luca and I stepped onto the terrace again. The sun was setting over Manhattan. The city lights were beginning to flicker on. She's attached to you, I said. I see that. It's not fair to her, getting attached to people who leave. Who says I'm leaving? You left before? That was different. How? I was young, stupid. I thought protecting you meant staying away from you? The evening air was cool against my skin. Down below, traffic moved through streets that seemed impossibly small from this height. What do you think protecting me means now? Keeping you close enough to watch over, far enough away to give you choices. What kind of choices? Whether to trust me, whether to let me help, whether to build something together or just survive separately. I wanted to trust him. Part of me had never stopped trusting him. But trust was a luxury I couldn't afford with Nia depending on me. Tell me about your son, I said. Luca was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Marco, he was 3 years old, laughed at everything, loved trucks and dinosaurs and bedtime stories. What happened? I was supposed to be in the car that day, had a meeting across town. My wife, Elena, was taking Marco to see her mother. His hands gripped the terrace railing. His knuckles were white. Someone planted a bomb under the engine, remote detonation. They waited until Elena started the car, then... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. I'm sorry, I said. Elena was pregnant. We didn't know yet if it was a boy or a girl. We were going to find out the next week. The weight of his grief was enormous, crushing. It explained the sadness Nia had seen in his eyes, the careful way he watched us, the desperate need to protect what remained. Who did it? A rival family. They wanted to send a message about territory, about respect. Did you find them? Yes. One word, but it contained volumes of violence and retribution. And they're not a problem anymore. I felt cold again, not from the evening air, from understanding what kind of man I was dealing with, what kind of world I'd stumbled into. How many people have you killed, Luca? Does it matter? Yes. Too many, not enough. I don't keep count anymore. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you. Inside, Nia was helping Rosa set the table for dinner. Normal domestic activities. The kind of routine she'd never had with me. She needs stability, I said. I know. She needs a normal life. I know that too. Then you know why we can't stay here? Do we? Luca turned to face me. His eyes were intense, desperate. My world isn't normal, Amara. It's violent and dangerous and full of people who hurt innocents to make points, but it's also the only world where I can guarantee your safety. For how long? As long as necessary. And what do you want in return? Nothing you don't want to give. But that wasn't true. He wanted forgiveness for leaving 10 years ago. He wanted redemption for his wife and son's death. He wanted a second chance at the family he'd lost. And part of me wanted to give him those things. We should go inside, I said. Rosa made dinner. The dining room table was set with real plates and cloth napkins. Candles flickered in the center. It looked like a family dinner. We sat together and ate Rosa's pasta. Nia chattered about the cookies we'd made, about the view from her bedroom window, about how much she liked her new bed. She was happy, genuinely happy, for the first time since her mother died. After dinner, Luca helped Nia with a coloring book while I called to check my voicemails. 3 messages from bill collectors, 2 hang-ups, one from a number I didn't recognize. The unknown caller had left a message. We know where you are now. Penthouse living won't protect you forever. Pay what's owed or face the consequences. I deleted the message and tried to keep my expression calm, but Luca noticed anyway. What is it? Another threat. They know we're here. That's impossible. This building has the best security in the city. Then how do they know about the penthouse? Luca's expression grew dark. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. Within minutes, Enzo appeared in the dining room. Sweep the building, Luca said. Check all entry points. Someone's been watching. Enzo nodded and disappeared again. What's a sweep? Nia asked. It's when we make sure everything is safe, I said. Like checking under the bed for monsters? Something like that. But these monsters were real, and they knew exactly where to find us. Luca's phone buzzed. He read the message, and his jaw tightened. What now? They found your cab. Burned it. My heart sank. The taxi was my livelihood, my independence. Without it, I couldn't work. Couldn't take care of Nia on my own. Insurance? Do you have insurance that covers arson? I didn't. I had the minimum required by law. Nothing that would replace a burned vehicle. So, now I'm trapped here. You're safe here. Those aren't the same thing. But without a car, without income, without anywhere else to go, safe and trapped felt identical. Nia yawned and rubbed her eyes. It was past her bedtime, past time for normal childhood routines. Bath time, Rosa announced. I'll help her get ready. I can do it myself, Nia said proudly. Of course you can, but maybe Rosa could help you find the special soap that smells like flowers? Nia's eyes lit up. Flower soap? In the guest bathroom, Rosa said. Just for you. They disappeared down the hallway together. Nia's laughter echoed back to us. She's good with children, I said. Rosa raised 5 kids of her own. She's been with my family for 20 years. Your family. The business. The people who matter. Is that what we are now? People who matter? You've always mattered, Amara, even when I was too stupid to know how to show it. The honesty in his voice caught me off guard, made my chest tight with emotions I'd buried 10 years ago. I was in love with you in college, I said. I know. I thought you felt the same way. I did. Then why did you leave without explaining? Because I was already being pulled into the family business. My father was grooming me to take over, and I knew that life would destroy anything good I touched. You could have told me, let me decide for myself. At 23, I thought I was protecting you. Now I know I was protecting myself. From what? From having to choose between the life I was born into and the life I wanted with you. The admission hung between us. Raw, painful, honest. And now? Now I know there's no choice. You're here. Nia's here, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep you both safe. Even if it means we're prisoners in your penthouse? Even if it means I have to destroy everyone who threatens you. The casual way he said it should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel protected, valued, worth fighting for. But protection built on violence was still violence, and violence always had consequences. Nia called from the bathroom. Mama Amara, come see the flower soap. I stood to go to her. Luca caught my hand. Stay, he said. Please, give me a chance to prove that this can work. For how long? As long as you'll let me. His hand was warm around mine, strong, steady, the hand of a man who'd killed to protect what mattered to him, but also the hand that had helped Nia out of my taxi, that had carried her to safety without being asked. 1 week, I said. We'll stay 1 week. Then we decide what comes next. 1 week. But even as I agreed, I knew 1 week wouldn't be enough time to solve the problems chasing us. Wouldn't be enough time to determine if safety was worth the price Luca's world demanded. And it definitely wouldn't be enough time to guard my heart against a man I'd never stopped loving. In the bathroom, Nia splashed happily in a tub full of bubbles. She looked up when I entered and smiled. "Look, Mama Amara, the soap makes rainbows." Rainbows in soap bubbles. Simple magic that made her laugh. For tonight, that was enough. But tomorrow, the men who wanted us would still be out there. The debts would still exist. And the choice between safety and freedom would still be waiting. I helped Nia wash her hair and tried not to think about how easy it would be to get used to this. To let Luca's protection become permanent. To let myself fall in love with him all over again. 3 days passed in a strange routine. Rosa cooked meals while Nia helped. Enzo appeared and disappeared like a shadow. Luca worked from home, always within sight, but never intrusive. I told myself it was temporary, that we were just hiding until the danger passed. But danger didn't pass in Luca's world. It shifted, changed shape, found new ways to threaten what mattered. On the 4th morning, I woke to Nia singing in the shower. Actually singing. A children's song about sunshine and flowers. Her voice was clear and happy. I hadn't heard her sing since before her mother got sick. In the kitchen, Rosa was making pancakes, again. She seemed determined to feed us back to health. "She's getting stronger," Rosa said, nodding toward the sound of Nia's voice. "This place is good for her." "And for you?" The question was gentle but pointed. Rosa saw everything, understood the tension between safety and independence. "I don't know yet. You're afraid. Wouldn't you be?" Rosa smiled. "I was afraid when I first came to work for Luca's family. 20 years ago, I needed a job desperately. My husband had died. I had 5 children to feed. What made you stay?" "They became my family, real family, not just employers." Luca appeared in the kitchen doorway. He'd been up early, making phone calls in his office. His expression was serious. "We need to talk," he said. My stomach tightened. Nothing good ever followed those words. Nia bounced into the kitchen wearing her favorite dress, the one Rosa had washed and pressed for her. "Morning pancakes," she announced. "Good morning, sweetheart," Luca said, but his eyes stayed on me, worried. "What is it?" I asked. After breakfast, when Nia's busy with Rosa, but Nia was already climbing onto his lap. She'd claimed him as family with the determined affection only children possessed. "Will you read to me today?" she asked. "If you want me to." "I do." Rosa found books with pictures of horses. I like horses. "Then horses it is." He was gentle with her, patient in ways that suggested experience with children. Experience he'd lost when his son died. After breakfast, Rosa took Nia to the library to look at horse books. Luca and I went to his office. The room was masculine but not intimidating. Dark wood, comfortable chairs, windows that looked out over Central Park. "Tell me," I said. "Enzo found out who's been threatening you. It's not just about the insurance money." "What do you mean?" "Your sister's ex-husband, Darren, borrowed money from a loan shark named Vitale, Sergio Vitale. He runs a small operation in Queens." My chest felt tight. "How much money?" 200,000, plus interest." "That's impossible. Darren never had access to that kind of money." "He used your sister's medical condition as collateral. Promised Vitale that the insurance payout would cover the debt." I felt sick. "But the insurance only paid 50,000. "Which is why Vitale is coming after you and Nia? He wants the difference." "That's not how debt works. I'm not responsible for what Darren borrowed." "You are in Vitale's world, especially since Darren disappeared 3 weeks ago." The room felt smaller, colder. Disappeared? Dead. Probably. People who owe Vitale money don't usually vanish voluntarily. So, Darren was gone. The man who'd caused this mess was beyond consequences, but his debt lived on, attached to us like a curse. What does Vitale want? Two options: the money Darren owed, or Nia. My blood turned to ice. What do you mean, Nia? Human trafficking. Young children bring good prices from certain buyers. I stood up fast. The chair scraped against the floor. Are you saying someone wants to sell my niece? I'm saying that's one of the options Vitale is considering. Over my dead body. That's the other option he's considering. The casual way Luca said it made it worse, as if my death and Nia's disappearance were just business calculations. How do we stop this? We eliminate the threat. What does that mean? It means Vitale and his operation disappear. Permanently. I felt cold, not surprised. In Luca's world, problems got solved with violence, but understanding something and accepting it were different things. How many people would die? However many it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only answer that matters. But it wasn't the only answer. There had to be other options, legal options. What about the police? Vitale has connections. Half the precinct in Queens is on his payroll. FBI? Takes months to build a case. We don't have months. How long do we have? Days. Maybe a week. I walked to the window and stared down at the park. Families walked together on the paths below. Children played on swings. Normal life continued while my world collapsed. There has to be another way. There is. I turned back to him. What? You and Nia disappear. New identities, new city. I set you up somewhere safe. And leave you to deal with Vitale alone? It's what I do. Running away doesn't solve the problem. It just moves it. Sometimes moving the problem is enough. But I was tired of running. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of making decisions based on fear. What if we paid the debt? $200,000? Do you have that much money? You do. Luca was quiet for a moment. Yes, I do. Would you lend it to us? I'd give it to you, but it wouldn't solve the problem. Why not? Because Vitale doesn't want the money anymore. He wants to make an example. Showing weakness invites more problems. So, what do you recommend? I recommend you let me handle this the way I handle all threats to my family. We're not your family. Yes, you are. The certainty in his voice caught me off guard, made something shift in my chest. I didn't ask to be your family. Family isn't something you ask for. It's something you recognize. In the distance, I could hear Nia laughing. Rosa was reading to her in different voices, making the story come alive. Nia was happy here, safe here, loved here. But happiness built on violence was still violence. I need time to think. We don't have time. Then make time. Luca stood and moved closer to me, close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Amara, I've lost one family to these people. I won't lose another. You haven't lost us. Haven't I? The question hung between us, heavy, loaded with 10 years of separation and 3 days of forced proximity. I never stopped loving you, I said. I know. But love isn't enough, not if it comes with blood on the walls. What if there was no blood? What if Vitale simply disappeared without violence? Is that possible? Anything's possible, but some solutions are cleaner than others. Before I could ask what he meant, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Enzo, he said, answering. I could hear the voice on the other end, urgent, worried. When? Luca asked, more urgent talking. How many? His expression grew darker. Lock it down, full security, no one in or out. He hung up and turned to me. What's wrong? They found the building. There are men watching from across the street. My heart started racing. How many men? 6, maybe more. What do they want? To confirm we're here, to plan their approach. What do? We prepare for war. But war meant violence. War meant people would die. War meant Nia would witness things no child should see. There has to be another way. If there is, we'll find it. But right now, we prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Enzo appeared in the doorway. His face was grim. Building's secure, he reported. But they're not just watching, they're planning something. What kind of planning? Entry team, tonight, most likely. So we had hours, maybe less. Where are Rosa and Nia? Safe room, reinforced walls, separate air supply. They'll be protected no matter what happens. But protected wasn't the same as unaffected. Nia would know something was wrong, would feel the fear and tension that preceded violence. I want to see them. Luca nodded. Of course. The safe room was hidden behind a bookshelf in the library. Inside, Rosa sat with Nia on a comfortable couch. Snacks and books were arranged on a low table. It looked almost like a playroom. Mama Amara, Nia called when she saw me. Rosa says we're having an adventure. That's right, baby. A special adventure? Like camping? Something like that. But camping didn't involve bulletproof walls and armed guards. Camping didn't involve men who wanted to hurt children. How long will we be here? Nia asked. Just until the adventure is over. Will Luca be with us? I looked at him. He knelt down to Nia's eye level. I'll be nearby, he said, making sure you stay safe. Promise? I promise. But promises were fragile things in his world, easily broken by bullets and bombs. I want to stay with you, I said. That's not safe. Neither is hiding while people fight over us. Amara, I'm not hiding anymore. If this is happening because of me, then I face it. And if you get hurt, then at least I go down fighting. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe, or understanding. Then we face it together. Rosa stood up from the couch. I'll stay with Nia. Keep her occupied. Thank you. Protect each other, Rosa said, and come back to us. We left Nia with Rosa and returned to the main apartment. Enzo had transformed the space into a fortress. Furniture had been moved to create defensive positions. Windows were covered with steel shutters. How long before they come? I asked. Sunset, Enzo said. They'll want darkness. That gave us 3 hours to prepare. 3 hours to say goodbye to the life we'd been building. 3 hours to decide whether love was worth dying for. Luca handed me a gun. Do you know how to use this? Point and shoot? More or less. The weapon felt heavy in my hands. Cold, final. I've never shot anyone. Hopefully you won't have to tonight. But hope was a luxury we couldn't afford. Tonight, people would die. The only question was, which people? And whether Nia and I would survive to see morning. Outside, the sun began its descent toward the horizon. Somewhere across the street, men with guns were making their final preparations. In a few hours, our safe haven would become a battlefield. And I would find out if love really was stronger than violence, or if violence always won in the end. The light in the apartment grew softer as evening approached. Luca checked weapons while Enzo coordinated with security teams throughout the building. Tell me one thing, I said to Luca. What? If we survive tonight, what happens tomorrow? Tomorrow we build something worth surviving for. And if we don't survive? Then at least we tried. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was all we had. In the distance, a phone rang. Enzo answered it and spoke in low, urgent tones. They're moving, he announced. 20 minutes. 20 minutes to live or die. 20 minutes to discover whether family was worth fighting for. I thought about Nia in the safe room with Rosa. About the cookies they'd made together. About the laughter that had filled this apartment for 4 days. About the life we could build here if we survived the night. "I'm ready," I said. And for the first time since this began, I meant it. The war was coming to us. But we wouldn't face it as victims. We'd face it as family,